Hello there, and welcome to Sip Ahoy. In the wake of the harrowing scenes that unfolded during my recent review of PG Tips instant tea granules, a number of you messaged me to express your concern and or disgust, and for that many thanks. Well, I have a small confession to make. It wasn't quite that bad. It's true that the filthy concoction did genuinely make me heave, but all that came up was a little bit of chocolatey bile and some nut fragments. It felt like more, much more. I wanted to convey that feeling, and because most of the action was occurring off camera, all I needed was an appropriate sound. But that wasn't my primary motivation for drawing back the veil. Some of you posited that I must have required an assistant to open and close the outhouse door during the framing sequences to tea in the time of COVID. Then you raced ahead to the conclusion that that assistant must have been Hugh. Not so. It's one thing to artificially simulate the sound of someone gastrically challenged blowing chunks into a plastic bucket in order to emphasize a point. But it would be a deception of an entirely different stripe to breach my own self-imposed quarantine and put my dear friend Hugh, or indeed anyone else, in mortal danger simply for the sake of a throwaway camera shot. That's not how we do things here at the Tea Caddy. To open the door, the only assistant I needed was a piece of string. I looped it around behind the refrigerator and simply gave a tug on it at the appropriate moment. You can see the end of it caught on the arm of my chair in this original footage. For the closer, my trusty assistant was a stick laid on the ground, which I simply manipulated with my feet. I suppose pedipulated would be the appropriate word. Throughout the entire process, the closest that Hugh came to any of this was watching forlornly through the French windows while I trotted to and fro setting up my shots. Well, I hope you found that edifying. If you did, let me know in the comments and perhaps we'll do it again. Hello, this is A Sip Too Far, a look behind the scenes at the making of Sip Ahoy, the bonus behind the scenes featurette spun off from Sips and Tips with Mr. T. My young assistant Hugh is never short of bright ideas for adding a bit of sparkle and pizzazz to my sinencer-centric ramblings. It was his idea, for example, to include a slow-motion replay of my lemon-curd cup-induced moment of bliss. But his suggestions sometimes fly wide of the mark, as was the case when he managed to persuade me that I should sign off from this edition of Sips Ahoy by biting into a raw potato. So, until next time, take care, sipmates. It took a pot and a half of extra strong gunpowder green laced with wasabi to wash the taste out of my mouth, all of which Hugh seemed to find richly amusing.